Pushing the joint in. It's like an
Carol, you all set?
I think so. It says that we don't have enough room in the cloud. It says that.
Right, I saw that.
Recording is machine.
I didn't hear the voice, it said recording.
I wonder if that's the cloud voice. I'm gonna go to my phone and call Fran and see if it's.
Nah, I just went on the jump and just landing.
So they require exterior lighting plan.
It's only conceptual.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Figured they'd taken up some space, you know.
Now you never take up space. Yeah, new coffee shop coming in town.
Yes.
Apprentice?
Oh, what's that?
What's the post office?
Well, how about that? You're taking up somebody to pay nearly.
Is there anything? else?
You went to conception.
Okay, great. So it's okay.
Okay,
The recording in for the machine, we have to leave what you're doing on.
okay. You have everybody that's zoomed in?
I do, I have, okay, so I'm just gonna go through who I have on Zoom here. I have Chris Miller. I have David's iPhone. Not sure who that is. Mike Norris. Jennifer. And Deputy Fire Chief Brian Fedor.
All right, let's call the meeting to order, please.
Burger to the Coke.
Let the record note that Mark Erman's excused. And first, I'd like to welcome Danielle as new alternate member. First item on the agenda, consideration of the meeting minutes from Wednesday, February 8th, 2023. Does anyone have any changes?
The one we discussed, the moving the tractor trailer at Wood Mountain thing.
Mhm. Yep.
Well, I didn't see that in the record here, upon me, mostly, I asked the question, what was the regulation for tractor trailers being used in town? The last time, I read the minutes from last time, you put it up in the last meeting. I'm sure she hasn't changed it since then. But you had asked the question, what the regulations were for tractor trailers being used in town, remember?
Yeah.
And OJ answered, there were no regulations. That's not in the minutes.
Wait, was that at this February 8th meeting?
8,
Is that in
I
relation?
went back and listened to it online, and you said it. So did Paul.
So I had trouble understanding you. We're talking about tractor trailer.
I can't hear you.
So I was having trouble hearing what you were saying. So what's missing?
February 8th,
Okay,
discussing the Balloon Mountain at the Tender Bar and so forth, for site plan review. And Paul asked what the regulations were for trailers being used, that should be used on a site. If there were any regulations on it, and OJ said there weren't at this time. That wasn't entered in the minutes. I went back, listened to it on the online, and still, but I said it's still there.
It was,
do you know whereabouts it was?
But the middle of the meeting toward the end,
About the middle.
When we were talking about the Pemmy Face Lodge is what he said, right?
yes,
Towards the end of the meeting.
whenever it came up,
must be in the
Right
minutes.
now, after.
That's where it is in the minutes.
Anyone have anything else?
that wasn't even mentioned, I should, like, it changed to be amended, to have to include in the minutes.
Do we want to postpone this until Carol has a chance to review? Hey,
Yeah. If you guys have a hint about where I can look for it, so I'm going to the whole thing.
If we were discussing the semi base at the Moon Mountain. They asked
That was all of
the
that.
tractor trailer. I remember. It's not included there at all. OJ made a comment, there was no regulation dealing with this. You can go back, and listen online, there too, rather than the minutes.
does anyone have anything else?
Yeah, I got a couple things.
Go ahead.
Line 116.
Yeah.
It says Bogosian is in violation of 2004 site plan approval. I don't know if that's the correct statement, it should not be in the minutes.
I don't think we made a determination.
Well, we can eliminate the whole sentence or we can change it. And say Bogosian is possibly in violation or maybe in violation, but the statement itself is implies that we've made a decision.
If you did come forward, the board discussed it at one time. So we, I'm
Right,
couldn't
I
find the
mean,
records of it.
I think it should say something like. We need to do more research to determine whether
right, I mean, down
this is a
further page,
violation or not.
on page 5, it says the questions that the board had. You know, what it
Right.
is.
I recommend we just delete that whole sentence.
Does everybody agree to
I'm
that?
just thinking about, I mean, we do talk about, it says we talked about the unpermitted expansion.
Right.
And as of February 3rd, 2023, no application for an expansion has been submitted. The unpermitted expansion has continued. So I think we're kind of. We already said he's in possible violation just by what's written above.
Right.
I'll go on, OJ can.
So,
I made
yeah,
that.
I scratch it, I think. Anyone else have anything different?
Well, we're still gonna discuss it, so it doesn't make any difference anyway.
Right.
We were supposed to be discussing it tonight.
So
Okay.
remove that sentence.
Take out that sentence. Okay. What else?
The very next sentence, it says we'll discuss possible action. I think it should say. Will we review the facts? I mean, because we haven't, again, decided that we're gonna take action. Things were mentioned, but we ultimately determined that we don't know what the facts related to the previously approved site plan is. So you could say the planning board will further investigate this matter.
Just
I disagree. I'd leave that the way it is.
Take it out myself. I mean.
Why? Why not leave it the way it is? Because it says we'll discuss possible action to address this matter. That's what you do. You look at what kind of action you're gonna take, if any.
Well, it said to
I
me,
think you investigate what the possible violation is. You can't take action if we're gonna be looking at what the potential violation is. That's the next step, not taking action. It sounds like we've already made up our mind.
but if we said it, it should be recorded as such.
Why don't we say the planning board will discuss this matter further at a later date?
Perfect, I think.
That's fine.
Just a minute.
Okay, did you have anything else?
Yeah. Now, line 198. We label that section potential questions for future planning board discussions. I know I'm getting picky here, but I think that things were said by people that I don't agree with, and I don't think we all agree. And I think we should be more careful about what we present our discussion as being. I think we talked about potential questions, and I go back to number 3.
Question number 3.
Question number 3, where it said, if leased, we need a copy of the lease documents. I'm not sure if we can demand that. I would change 3 to say, discussion of the lease, just something in general, as
That's fine.
opposed to making it look like we've already discussed, we're gonna demand something.
We could probably scratch that up altogether, because if you look at questions 1A, B, C, and D, if you answer those questions and you have an idea who's leasing the property. You know, who are the players? D, who operates the food and beverage part of, base camp?
Well, number 2 says, least, which entity and owned by which entity.
Because technically, I'm going with OJ. If you have a piece of property, you lease it, you don't own that land at the time to get the guy who has the lease on it.
Well, it depends upon what the lease says too.
Well, you still,
And that's why we were talking about that. The lease says it could be used for, one thing is being used for another.
When you,
And that's
the guy with the lease would have to get back and change to you.
why we wanted to copy.
then if you go to 2B, it says leased by which entity?
That's why we wanted to copy of the lease and see what, if there was,
Well,
if it was leased for a certain purpose.
I don't,
I think the
you know,
first step is
that's a
asking
matter between the
questions
two parties. I don't
and
think,
learning the truth, not demanding the lease. I think it's the approach that I.
Look, I don't have a problem with whatever way you want to word it, as long as we just find out the answer.
Can we
to the
just call
question.
it, in general, number 2 and 3, discussion of the lease arrangement.
But this was supposed to be things that we wanted answers to. And that's what Carol took down, was all of the questions that we had. So where the questions are, Carol took down.
Okay. I don't think Carol should be calling and demanding a lease. she has questions that are pertinent, she could call the.
It wasn't Carol. We were telling Carol what questions we wanted answered, asked.
Okay, can I just back up? What did you want the heading to be? Potential questions? Something.
For future planning board discussion.
177.
Yes.
I mean, if Carol discusses items 2A and 2B. Or learns the facts from parties involved. I think number 3 is an action item that we've not decided needs to be taken.
So you just wanted to say discuss. Discussion of the.
Where are you, Carol? 199, 198?
209, number 3. I think 2A and B are gonna provide answers that would be brought back to the planning board. And that we as the planning board with those answers or responses would either determine what needs to be done, if anything.
Carol, where did you get that from? Did you take that from your notes at the meeting?
Yeah,
Well, that was said at the meeting.
It was said to me. I'm sure I probably asked.
But I'm saying it should not be in the list of things. You could change number 3 to say, someone requested that we needed a copy of the lease.
To determine if it's,
Okay. Just that someone requested that
Or I would say it was suggested that a copy of the lease be
or
obtained.
suggested, all right. But to say we need it, that was not. The
well, I think what I
consensus.
said, and I think it was probably me, I said, I'd like to see a copy.
It was you. And yeah, but I
And I
don't
still
think that
like to see a copy.
reflects. How about you just said Paul Bowden requested a copy to see a copy of the lease documents?
That's fine.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
And it doesn't say we agreed with it or
That's
disagreed with
and
it?
it was said at the meeting, so it's not like,
Okay.
it's not binding just because it was said at the
Yeah,
meeting.
you can say that.
okay, so what?
Put my name on all of it if you want.
Just say Paul Bowden said we need a copy of the lease documents.
Both of them like a copy.
We'd like,
Yeah, you don't even have to be implicated in, just say both of them, that's fine.
however you want to word it, it's fine with me. All right. I didn't have anything else.
You try.
So right now, we're not ready to pre-approve these because we want to research what was said about the trailers.
Trailer, don't want that, then that trailer is.
It's 177, it says something about that.
177,
I don't know if it's what you're looking for.
yeah, that's the,
Remove the container.
Oh, no,
It says it's gone.
I'm sorry, that's not.
is that what you were mentioning, Joe, or something else?
177 doesn't say that, doesn't it?
No, 177 doesn't.
It refers to the container.
We were talking about the container, yeah.
And Paul specifically asked the question. We have a control, need your ordinances on box trailers.
You have to re-listen to it, I guess.
Okay,
No, not here.
Hmm?
No, not here. I meant to do that night too, but remember.
Yep.
right, so Cal, if you want to work on those changes, and we'll continue the discussion on these minutes until the next meeting.
Yeah,
So is there a motion to continue discussion on the February 8th, 2023 meetings till March 22nd, 2023?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye. Next item on the agenda, consideration of the meeting minutes from February 22nd, 2023. Does anyone have anything on these minutes?
Make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right,
Anyone opposed? Okay. Continuing other business, grant application for grant from Invest New Hampshire Housing Opportunity Planning HOP Grant Program. Do we have any more information on this? We had some questions. We'd asked for a copy of the grant that was submitted.
I didn't get something.
What I think I gave you a copy before.
No, we didn't have, we only had this letter,
We only had the letter, I think.
but I just looked at it. Yeah, right here, the letter from August 30th, 2022, but we did ask for a copy of the grant.
We wanted to review it to see what.
Of our application,
Yes, a copy of our application.
I don't think I have one.
Would Karina have it?
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone have any further comments on this?
Now, we're gonna put that on the agenda though for the next meeting.
I mean, if everyone's good with that.
Yep.
Okay, motion to continue discussion on the grant application for the HOP program to March 22nd, 2023.
Make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Request for release of bond, site plan review approval, New Jefferson Holdings LLC, the Pines at Forest Ridge, 12 duplexes. Mount Coolidge Construction LLC, the Pines Detention Ponds. Mount Coolidge Construction LLC, request for release of bonds. Is there anyone here for this?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I'm here.
Well, I am, and David, it looks like on there.
Okay.
Microphone, yeah. You can't hear you back here.
You want to come up here and talk, please?
I don't know what you guys are looking for as far as,
So we're looking at the,
I was here last time and everybody wanted to table it to see if it was gonna keep going on or what was happening, when you guys are making your determinations.
right, so New Jefferson Holdings LLC has asked to release the maintenance bond.
Well, that was, the maintenance was put off, it was the building bond,
We've already released that bond,
okay,
construction bond. for
and
the
then the
bond,
maintenance bond was for however long.
Until the board had a hearing to release it.
It was-
So are you here to, are you representing,
I own Mount Coolidge.
okay,
The question I thought was whether or not the association was going to take it over. So that we could
Maintenance.
release that bond.
right, last meeting, the association was objecting. To the maintenance bond being released,
And you wrote a letter to confirm that they were gonna take over the main.
right, we advised the parties.
That was New Jefferson that we were asking for that maintenance bond, correct?
Well, I mean. New Jefferson, is the one that put up the bond,
Well, I know that it was the people involved in New Jefferson.
okay,
Put up the bond.
You have a copy of the bond? Somewhere we had a copy of the bond. Who it was
Today.
signed by? I don't have it. With me tonight.
Was David Yeager here, he was doing the talking last meeting.
Yes, David Yeager's here.
I think it's there.
And I'm here from
And
the
the-
association as well.
David, would
Yeah,
like to
the
speak?
way the meeting was, my understanding was the meeting was left that you wanted us to meet with owners at the Pines.
No, he's not muted.
Well, it's not. I'm wondering if we're on.
Hello,
Yeah, Russ.
David, is David Yeager, is that you on the?
that is me, yes.
Trying to speak.
Is the volume proper on the?
Yeah, because no one,
Can you hear me?
I don't think they can hear us, David. It seems like. TV volume.
Hello?
I was trying to talk. David's trying to talk.
yeah, something.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
I can hear you, but we're on the
Volume
phone.
on the TV, I don't know, monitors?
Well, they wouldn't both. Turn it down.
There comes the technical problem.
I know that happened once before.
Hello?
Oh,
There
we
you
go.
go.
There we go.
That's right.
Where-
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes, thanks, David.
Okay. So I believe the way it was left was you wanted us to meet with homeowners at the Pines and
Right.
reconcile with them whether or not they're willing to take over responsibility for the maintenance of the pond,
Right.
which we did meet with them. Very productive meeting. They agreed that they understood. They had their maintenance guy there. He said it was a very simple process. They said that they would accept release of the maintenance bond post haste. And they were willing to take over responsibility for the maintenance of the pond. And we left the meeting and that was our agreement. I also want to say that we have not received the money from the construction bond yet as of today. So I would like to know where those funds are as well. But we can get to that after the maintenance bond.
Yeah, and this is Mike Norris here from the Pines Association Board. I can confirm what David says. We're in a position to take over the maintenance of the pond, as, you know, as David described.
We need something in writing.
Yeah.
It would be beneficial for the town to have something in writing stating that the association is going to take over the maintenance at this time, the date.
Yep. I mean, we can do that administratively. We don't have to have another hearing with this.
No, I agree. All it requires is the Pines to supply a document that says that they are willing at this time to take over the maintenance of the ponds.
Okay, who should we send it to?
What the date is, and, you know.
Yeah.
And that they, you know, I would think that they agree, because there is a document that was drafted up for the maintenance of that
Right, so they've received the maintenance manual. And they
maintenance
have to
manual,
follow it.
right? In accordance with the maintenance manual, so they, you know, the town needs to know that they're gonna do it in accordance with that maintenance manual that the town looked at and the town's engineer looked at. Without having something in writing, 5 years from now, it's a hearsay.
If we don't have it right, you get back later on, it's it's our responsibility.
Between Dave and Mike, can we get something like that?
Yeah, sure. Who should I send it to?
Send it to me,
Yeah.
planning, PLANNING. At Lincoln NH.
Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing that, so.
Okay, this is the Carol Bont, the planner,
Oh, okay, Carol, sure.
so just email it to me.
Okay, we have your contact information, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, get something to you tomorrow.
Okay. And
What's that?
You get recorded in April too.
Yeah, we can do that. We can record that when we record the release of the bond. That letter. I don't know. If you can record anything.
Hey.
Well,
Wasn't that in the deed?
will be the deed.
No.
Well, I think it would be, I know that they know where the money is, because initially we had a turnover between the treasurers and the finance. So they now know exactly where it is, but I guess we just haven't. The town manager has to.
But we're talking about, they were suggested that we record the letter from the condo association in Haverhill.
Oh, well, in that case, I guess, you should attend. I guess if I'm gonna record it, then like I need original signatures.
Yeah, official letters.
We don't read the signatures, we
Is-
left
is
on the bag.
Is it typical to record just a letter or something like that?
No,
I would.
Because I don't even think the registry's gonna take something
I
like
don't
that.
think so either.
They look down on that, the trivial recording of stuff.
Well-
That's for the association.
I would make it formal. first. Have them
if,
sign a letter.
if the,
Instead of an email, I'd rather have a signed letter, not an email. You know, when the letter has.
Oh, yeah.
that's the issue.
Yeah.
it's gonna be a sign
Well,
letter,
you know,
please,
we're
but
not talking about typing an email, we're talking about scanning an email and a letter, but
Yeah.
I mean, if some of you prefer a wet signature, that's fine.
If I had. Like I said, Dave, can you just attach a letter, email?
Sure.
Yeah, fine, right?
I would think there's signature on it. Nation's rep president and person who's carrying the bond, Dave, or whoever. So you have, they,
Well, I mean.
good contract, friends, they run down look at the document, no one's
Only a second signature.
down the road. and said, I didn't agree to maintain.
Yeah, and I explained.
Doing any maintenance going forwards. The agreement should be between the association and the town. So that it's convinced one will take retention pond schedule. Said he'll get your Mike, do you have sending a letter?
No,
Association
well,
letter?
I'll get to put it on. Over, that's.
Two parties are.
Close. Before you close this issue, can you let us know when we should expect the return of the construction bond from a month ago?
Should have had it by now.
We don't have it.
The board voted to release it. All it has to do is come out of the,
Well, I think Karina, we were trying to find it because Butch was the person who was the town manager at the time that it came in. And there was a turnover of staff. So we had to identify where it was and what accounts it was in. And now we know where it is, so it's a matter of Karina's gonna have to,
Shauna didn't know where it was?
she wasn't the finance director at the time.
But now that you know where it is, can you tell me when we can expect to get a check?
Talk to Karina about it tomorrow. I mean, I don't know what to say because I don't know what she has to do to release it. I don't know.
Okay.
Donna's out right now. I don't know if she has to write the check. So
Yeah, Carol, just, if you could just check and let me know this week, I'd appreciate it. That's all.
Any further discussion, questions from the board?
I'll make a motion that we release the maintenance bond.
Subject to a receipt of a letter.
Yeah.
Of con-
I didn't finish it. It's okay.
Go ahead, finish.
No, you did just fine.
Second. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Thank you. Thank you.
Also, it's to look for that main one to make sure where that is. Take 4 weeks for them to get it. We voted for it.
Well,
You can do both at once. They both.
Huh?
Just
It shouldn't take 4 weeks to.
Okay.
Just give a point of.
Go
The
ahead.
reason why I want the papers attached to the condominium association for it. Not a separate. Be a. It's better when they release. Paper. When you move paperwork is down. We never place it. Or no. In place, so we. The board. Check it again. Paper. Everybody's messed up and.
All right, thank you.
We need to,
Would the planning board be able to take the Pines as far as the completed condominiums?
Is this on the docket for the night?
It's not.
No. No, I mean, just if you'll give us a courtesy, giving us an update, that's your call.
I can. I am happy to give you a detail. There are things that are in the works back and forth on our end of things. So I mean, those, I'm, when it, I didn't want to start messing up the switch stuff and everything had been done and everything was freezing up and I left it as it sits instead of starting to disturb it again. When ground opens up and things are more established, those will get filled in and will be. The one on the right is completely already backfilled. That just needs the plumbing in the floor. That one's up to grade. The other one can be brought up to grade as soon as I have material that's not frozen. So,
Okay. Good, great, thank you.
All right,
sir.
thank you.
am I all set?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're done.
Thanks, guys.
New business, conceptual prior to site plan review application, conceptual 2023-4, map 126, lot 20. Loon Mountain Recreation Corporation, LMRC, demolished 2 temporary buildings, 1 competition center and 2 rentals buildings. And rental building. Renovate, repurpose existing base lodge, Governor Adams Lodge, and build a new west base lodge. Actual purposes of demolished buildings into new base lodge.
Well, thank you guys for having us here tonight. Just to introduce the project here tonight and get some feedback from you guys so we can prepare for a full site plan review, assuming that we have to do that. As I think, just about everyone in town knows, Loon released a 2030 plan, which included, some pretty ambitious movements around the ski resort. 2 or well, technically 3 years ago now, I suppose. And a big piece of that was a reimagined or re-envisioned West Basin area that started with the Kankakee chairlift. Removal of the governor's pavilion tent. Some interior workings to the children's center, and now this is really the next big step here is kind of fulfilling our dream for a base area facility that really meets our guest needs. So I guess to talk about this, we don't have a name for it. We'll refer to it as the West Basin Lodge for now, and we'll have a real name at some point. To talk about the need and the desire there, this is purely a function of meeting our guest expectations. We're not quite there from a guest service standpoint. We always want to do better with our guests. Our rental shop, for example, would be included in this facility. And just not having rental equipment on pallets inside of the rental shop in a proper rack would be a nice thing to have. It makes our team more efficient, it makes our guests more efficient, going through the rental process. Similar scenarios could be spoken about, food and beverage, or just arrival in general. I mean, that base area sees quite a few people contact that base area first, and we recognize that through a lot of our planning, and we want to make sure that we're receiving those guests in the best way we can and processing them the best way we can, as well as keeping traffic moving down the road. So the other thing that this facility upgrade would do is function space, some employee space, that sort of back of house stuff that's not necessarily seen from a trash receptacle type thing. So just kind of squaring away all those things, getting with the future here and being able to meet our guests and team needs. This project, I would really say it started when we tore the governor's pavilion down. That was for anyone that was in that facility. Seating, our children's programs were out of there. It was a sales space for us to have large functions in, and we lost all of that ability. So kind of gaining some of that back in the long term here and reallocating the seats or the services that were in there over into this new building, as well as demolishing the competition center and the rental shop and fitting at least parts and pieces of those into this new facility here. We've been planning for this project since pre-COVID, so we're pretty far along in terms of how much time we've got into this and refining our plans and making sure that everything is appropriate and taken care of. Again, focused on the guest experience here, not necessarily adding increased volume to the ski resort. As you guys all know, we're capped out on parking. We don't have any more parking. Adding a new building or something isn't going to increase the capacity of the ski resort. That's a parking related issue, not a facility related issue. So again, this is very much focused on making sure that we're able to serve our existing guests in the best way possible and making sure that we're meeting their expectations. You know, the facility is going to include, like I said, function space, seating, restrooms, food and beverage service, back of house stuff, you know, a bar. We, in terms of planning, we've kind of, like I said, we've been going at it for a while. We've gone back and forth on how we wanted to approach this facility. It originally started as an extension or an add-on to the existing Governor Adams Lodge. Through our architects and engineers and John, who's here with me tonight from Prizens, we really established that it didn't make sense to add on to the existing building. There's a lot of reasons for that. Code updates from seismic, code updates from thermal or AC heat type situation. We also have to worry about, and this is a big one, phasing of the project and how we operate a ski resort while we're doing construction, right? So where we ultimately landed was a completely separate building adjacent to the existing Governor Adams Lodge. If we want to talk long-term, the Governor Adams Lodge will change in its capacity in some way, interior and exterior. We can't commit to what it would be. We haven't gotten that far. We really want to get this new facility underway and kind of understand, okay, what do we really need, and if we even need another facility there. But I will say that it's on our radar. We know what we need to do, and I'll pick on Babe's Blue Ox Bar for an example, which is on the top of the Governor Adams Lodge. When we open the new West Basin Lodge, we're going to have a bar on the top floor. It is going to be the premier bar on that base area. We're not going to need Babe's Blue Ox Bar in the old Governor's Lodge. So, you know, is that necessarily going to go away? No, it's inside of an existing footprint, but are we going to have, you know, beer service up there? No, why would we do that? We're going to have this nice facility over here. Maybe that's a function space or something else. So we haven't worked through that level of detail yet. A big piece of the planning here that I touched on was arrival to the ski resort, and this project encompasses more than just the facility. If you look through some of the planning there, you'll see a new arrival space where we segmented bus or large group drop-off space from day traffic or car drop-off space, as well as formalizing that road there into a full 3-lane road. So 2 lanes going by, so you essentially have, you know, 1 lane coming out, a turning lane, whether it's into one of the drop-offs or into or one of the 2 drop-offs, and then a pass-by lane that would get you to whether it's the River Lot, the Children's Center Lot, or the Westwood homeowners, and try to drive through there so that we're not necessarily someone who's waiting to a bus that's waiting to turn into the drop-off isn't necessarily clogging up traffic that's trying to go park in one of the parking lots, or Westwood homeowner that's trying to get to their house. The other thing that it's a small thing, but one of the things we're focused on here is yes, traffic. So you're walking from the River Lot, you'll notice that the stairs that come out of the River Lot and go to the Governor's Lodge have been moved down, and they get moved westward beyond those 2 drop-offs again, so that you're not crossing more traffic as a guest than you have to. And all of that drop-off traffic turned off before a guest coming from the River Lot would walk through there. So, I mean, we've put a lot of time and effort to get to the point where we are here. We're happy to be presenting it to you guys and to try to get some feedback from you and what we need to do to talk through the next site plan.
May I ask the legend, what does BOH stand?
Is that?
Where are you looking?
Right on the 3rd page, right up top here.
It stands for back of house.
Back of house.
Actual price, okay.
So, yeah, I mean, if we want to walk through the pack that you guys have, the first page here is what I would say is pre-existing conditions. So, you know, you see the, you know, tank gates on there, but also showing Governor's Pavilion that came out of there. Yeah, page 2, showing the Governor's Lodge, Competition Center, rental building. Kind of basically what it looks like today without the Governor's Pavilion, because that's obviously not there today, as that came out when the lift went in. And then when you go to page 3 here, you can kind of see the footprint of what is the proposed condition here with the separated drop-offs. You can see the dashed lines on the road that's showing kind of existing conditions of the road versus what is proposed conditions with the road, so you can see we're feeling that all the way in and kind of reallocating some space there to make sure traffic's moving through the area as best we can.
Man,
So,
how much square footage you gonna be adding?
Lodge,
And in general, if you adding square foot overall, do
yeah, yes,
you have an idea how much?
I could get that for you, I don't have it in front of me, but. I mean, you get if you look at page 3, you can get a pretty good, I mean, you can see the existing building footprints on there, it gives you,
Yeah.
and this new facility is 3 floors, so.
So Brian, what are the red lines? Are the red lines the proposed new
No, the red lines are existing conditions to that.
existing?
So you can see kind of the pull-offs for the buses or the where the stairs would be and stuff. That's where those bump outs are.
And that's planned to be 3-lane coming from the bridge all the way through to where?
It starts to narrow back just past the lodge there.
Just past
The
the
proposed new
proposed lodge?
Yep.
That's
So
where-
just past the loading dock, basically, right? So
past the loading dock,
Yeah.
where it'll go back to 2-lane?
Does this have a basement?
So because of elevation grades there exist, like if you look at the existing grade of the rental shop, it's maybe 8 feet lower than the existing Governor Adams lodge. So no, there isn't a buried basement there, but there are 3
I
levels.
just wonder if you'd ever consider like underground parking, consideration for that space.
That was one of the first questions I asked, yes. It didn't quite fit in here.
I know there's a parking issue. over there.
Yeah, the just to give you a sense of elevation, so the second floor, the main, what I would consider the main floor of the proposed lodge is on the same elevation as the second floor of the Governor Adams Lodge.
Joe,
One question. Look at your plans. I didn't see anything about the adaptive ski program, where they're gonna go.
They're still in the children's center there, although, I mean, and they're their own program, so I can't speak for them, but we're hopeful that they're gonna start to use some of this beginner terrain over here and maybe activate a second space or move in the long term to this beginner piece of terrain over here. But again, I can't speak for them, but I know they're excited about using the new learning terrain over here.
Some of the members that asked me what was going on to make sure.
Yeah.
Because even some of my family has been using it, but they wonder if quadriplegic, totally paralyzed. He used it quite a bit till he passed away a year and a half ago.
Yep.
The other people were asking me just, not gonna be any changes to that.
No, I mean,
Okay.
whatever changes they
That's
decide
all
to
I
have
wanted
will be
to
their choice.
That's all they wanted me to ask.
Yep.
you just gonna come in for the site plan for the new lodge and demolish the 2 buildings and come back at a later date when you repurpose the existing lodge?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to talk just to scope and timeline here a little bit, I mean, our intent is that. This is really a 3-year project to us.
Mhm.
Year 1 being hopefully this summer, and that is. Aligning utilities, doing the road work, the outside stuff to make sure we have a clear footprint to start construction. Summer 24, so April, May, summer 24, we would start demolishing buildings and starting the ski lodge. This summer would be, getting water lines out of the way or in the right place, realigning heat sources, getting the road out of the way so that we can kind of, 1, continue to operate summer and winter, but 2, be in a good position to start digging without anything being in our way when the time comes. And then from there, it would be an give or take 18-month construction process.
So
Building a
from
lodge.
2024, you're looking at 18 months?
Yeah, our hope would be, whenever the West Basin closes, beginning of April-ish, we would start construction. We'd suffer through a winter without a rental shop and without a competition center, and then the following ski season, we'd open when that base area is open. So we'd have 2 summers and 1 winter, basically. And we find a home for a rental shop, we'd obviously reallocate, it wouldn't be the same size, but we would probably take some space from our children's center or something and move the rental.
I mean, you're gonna-
temporarily there.
Parking spaces, you're gonna be adding parking spaces?
Nope. No, I mean, other than what you can see in the drop off type stuff and changing the alignment of the drop off here, but no added parking spaces to the ski
It's
resort.
gonna be over in the base lodge of the governor's lodge.
What's that?
But the rental shop used to be at the In the basement?
In the basement of the governor's lodge,
Yep, as you walk in the door and take the left, I don't know what's there now, I have no idea,
guest services, yeah.
but that's where it used to be,
Yeah, it'll be,
when it started.
I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of things to be excited about with this project, but a rental shop, it's, a nice rental shop will be a huge thing for us.
All right,
Go ahead.
I think an approach, is Blue Mountain thinking about expanding their areas for parking? People coming in, because it's very inadequate right now.
No, we're not. I mean, we don't have any more parking and I don't know that I would consider it inadequate. We manage our capacity and the people that are here, like this weekend, for example. The amount of people we had here this weekend are nowhere near what our big days were in 18, 19, 17, 18. We're managing that capacity better than we ever have before because of the way we sell tickets online and we can manage people coming in and out. Now, I'll be the first one to admit it's not 100%. We can't, I can tell you how many tickets we sold or manage how many tickets we're selling. Can't manage how many people come in each car. And that's the variable that we play with every weekend, or every day, and we may be off one day because people carpool poorly. You know, or whatever it was happened.
I don't know the right place to mention it, but. You're selling, sometimes it was sold a couple days ahead of time online. People coming up here during the day expecting to be able to have tickets. Weren't there supposed to be some tickets available to people on the street on a per diem basis? A certain reserved amount, people coming up here to buy it, instead of selling out 3 days before. They've been coming up here. I've been getting a lot of grief from people I've worked for and with. That they can't get a ticket, and they already had the reservation made 2 weeks before. They come up here 3 days, but they come up here in 3 days, they couldn't get a ticket.
I haven't,
That's what the Department of Interior agreement was originally, I believe.
I don't know anything about that. I can't speak to that.
Just a query.
Okay, does anyone else have anything?
I have some questions.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Are you done your
Yep.
presentation?
Let's have it.
So how close are the buildings? What's the intention? They're not gonna be joined, they'll be separated.
They'll be separated.
Any
They're,
slides on that?
Chris, do you know how far apart the two facilities are there? 25 feet, maybe?
Sorry, I was muted. 30 feet.
30 feet.
30 feet. Will the new building be sprinkled?
Yeah.
So. Because you're coming in for site plan review. The whole. Blue Mountain site comes up for. Review. And we have. At least my concern is that. One of the things we've done with other applicants. Is that we've had them. Give us at this point in time. What their parking capacity was. So, and. I think that given the traffic conditions that, and I'm just speaking for myself off the board. Given the traffic conditions that are current. On the Kank. As well as. What you envision the drop-off areas to be, how many cars you're gonna see them handling. I mean, when I take a look at this, I see your vehicle drop-off. And I see the proposed new lodge. And. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of circulation area there. Compared to what you have now. I mean, you have more now with that little circular area that's in front of where the. What's that building?
Children's Center.
Children's Center, yeah. So that seems to, a lot of that seems to be going away. I would just like to see some sort of a. Document or some rationale as to. How many vehicles can that turnaround handle?
Yeah, so
Because I think you're gonna have, even though you got 3 lanes. 3 lanes coming in, if you're choking them down, trying to get them to the front of the proposed new lodge and the Governor Adams Lodge, you could be backing right out into the street and nobody will be able to go anywhere.
yeah, I think, I mean, I don't know how accurate the rendering here.
That's what I was wondering.
When we realigned the parking in front of the octagon this year and went to the angular parking versus the parallel parking. We increased spaces significantly as a percentage. And it's a whole hell of a lot easier for people to get in and out than trying to parallel park with all the ski equipment that they have, which is why we went with the angled parking.
Right.
Your question about the circular drop off of the children's center. Why we moved the entrance to the other side of the children's center was to eliminate drop off and let them park. So we don't need someone who's bringing their children into the children's center now, doesn't need to drop their kids off, leave their car there, go in and then go find a parking spot, they go right to parking. So it eliminated that completely.
In other words, you're creating, to me, what you're creating, but what I see it. It's fine what you're doing. I have no problem with what you're doing. I just want to make sure that someone is taken into consideration. The fact that you're gonna have. An existing Governor Adams Lodge. And the proposed new lodge. You're going to. More than double. Your. People capacity, whether it's, because we don't even know what the Governor's Lodge is gonna be. By the way, I think we really ought to have something about that because. Parking spaces are determined by seating and use.
Yep.
So you really need to have an idea of what the Governor Adams Lodge is gonna be used for in order to know how many people are gonna be there. I mean, if that's gonna be, for example, if that was to be a separate function building. I don't know what's gonna be. And you had the proposed lodge and that was gonna take over what the Governor's Lodge was. And then, so my point would be that a separate function building would not be skier people. It might just be, you might be having a, I don't know, party day for some ski group.
Yeah, I mean,
So it might be on the road people that need to park as well as skiers. So then you're, you're looking at that. And that's the importance, Brian, behind having a plan, the request for the plan that shows parking, current parking conditions and how many people you're gonna serve. We've done that with different hotels here and different restaurants, so I mean, I think at this point in time, that will probably be a good thing to do. And it should address, the traffic plan should address how your traffic's gonna go. Even as far as South Peak, how you're gonna have people, you really have no amenity except for the tent, I'll call it tent down there at South Peak, so. A lot of people are gonna wanna go that way, whether they're gonna drive out, go there, whether they're gonna, who knows how that access is gonna work. So that, to me, that the west end is going to be pretty much your central location. Now with two lodges there, two big structures there, there's gonna be a lot of people want to go there. I would think just like, you build something new, everybody wants to see it, so they come. The same thing with that, the new ski lift you did, what I mean, people build it and they want to do that.
I think the. Understanding how many, and you guys look at it as tables, not necessarily seats, so we'd have to correlate, because when the designers are designing something, they're saying, oh,
I think we look at, you look at seats. It's seats.
So
It's seats,
because I took,
space for the 4 seats in the ring.
And
so it's 4 seats to it, because of what I took from our notes and technical advisory was tables, but so you're using 4 seats as a table. Okay. Well, so even in an extreme example, I can tell you that both of those facilities, there's enough parking in our main parking lot, never mind the rest of the parking at the ski resort. So I'm not worried about exceeding the parking. And to your comment.
No, but you also have
space,
skiers there during the day too.
well, I realize that, but this is a ski lodge first, and to your comment about function space. We are not going to take up one of our premium parking spaces for our ski guest to host a wedding on like a Saturday in the middle of ski season. We're a ski area first. Now, will we host a wedding on a Saturday in the summer? Absolutely. We're gonna have plenty of parking for that. We're gonna do that and take a parking spot from a ski guest in the middle of the winter? Not a chance in hell.
So what we gotta do is. We gotta make sure that you have enough parking for your ski guest or whatever guest is gonna be there, and that's why. Take a look at. I would like.
I'm
to
certain
say-
we have that, and I know we can
Yeah.
prove that to you guys.
Yeah, take a look at what you got on all your, in all your areas and say we've got X. And there's a there's a parking space requirement, it's
Well,
This
there's
is-
for retail, there's also a different number for retail.
and then you have to have your help, staff is also included in there, so Eric can give you the. Design parameter, I would think would be good at this time.
Yeah, well, I've got notes from the meeting, and that's why I'm confident in telling you we have plenty of parking.
Danielle, do you want to say something?
Would a fire truck need to access all around that building or no?
That's a question for the fire chief.
Nothing bad.
The other thing this affects or could affect. Is the Loon has a special events plan. That was given to the town. Many years ago. During, I believe it was during. When the Highland Games came back.
Yep.
And I think. That should be looked at as well, take a look and see if that changes a lot, because that special events plan, there was a lot of stuff around that West Basin Lodge that was. Identified for special events, so if you're gonna change that, then you might want to take a look at that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. One, I don't think we need to talk about the entire ski resort. We're talking about one base area here. And it's still a ski resort. It's still gonna function the exact same way it is. We're just gonna be able to serve our existing guests a little better. So this isn't a change in use. We're still a ski resort,
But you're adding square footage and you're adding seats, which makes a big difference.
but it's not change in use, right? So,
We're still
You're
doing a
adding,
site plan review.
great.
you're adding square footage and you're adding seats.
But the ski area visitation is driven by the book passage. That's the way, I've done a lot of ski area work. That's how you're judging it, because, to Brian's point in the discussion point, not having, the resort's not having separate events there that are adding people in addition to skiers. And the skiing capacity is limited by the uphill capacity.
But you're also increasing the uphill capacity. So what, for example, over here on South Beach. This year you're putting in that, you've already cut it over there and you're putting a new lift and you're putting, so you're increasing that uphill capacity. Are you increasing these skiers? I don't know. I have no idea what your ticket numbers are, so I don't know. I mean, but when you're increasing square footage. I understand that you're only selling, you can only sell what you have for parking spaces. That's what we need to look at, what you got, to me, the limitation here is the parking spaces. That you have available that you can use. And the number of staff that you have and, and the seating, and you take a look at that as a whole, and then you come up with your formula, yeah. This is the amount of people we can serve. Hopefully it works in your benefit, you say, we've got plenty. But if it doesn't, then you gotta kind of.
Yeah,
take a look at it,
again, I'm confident that we're doing that.
Well, been a lot of changes in parking up there in a lot of years. I mean, if you take a look at what was parking up there, there was parking. Before Ramshorn that went to where the governor's lodge was, there was 3 parking areas in front. To the right, none of that was there, that was all parking. Where the turnaround was, the parking went to the Octagon, parking was there a little more, where the real estate building was, took some parking out of there, so there's been a lot of parking that's. Through the years, gone away. And, so even though there is parking there now, there's been a lot of changes, so. And the numbers, those numbers that you're skiing now. They were always planned with all that other parking there too, so that's why I'm saying you really kind of need to look, I think you really need to look at that.
Yeah, and I think that was all taken into account when we did the last plan with South Peak here, and yes, there were all those. Parking places those small lots that went away, but there were also countless spots over here that were added that were approved by the town as
That's
part of
all
as part of the whole ski area. So again,
Right.
I'm confident we're in a good place.
Well,
Okay. Does anyone have anything else? Okay. We'll see you shortly with your site plan.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Sounds good.
Any public participation? Does anyone have anything else? Bob,
yeah, I like going on public.
non-public?
Yeah.
What's the reason?
We can go under 91:832A, or we can go under 91-A, going 32C. I'd like to discuss. Fact, I like to discuss the way that we're not getting our information. And why.
So you're saying a personnel matter?
It could be a personal matter. I don't know.
Usually those statutes say a reason, that's why I'm asking you.
What's that?
There's reasons, you just gave me the statute, but what does it say?
Well, one is the And it's not anything about dismissal, promotion, compensation made by an employee or the disciplining of an employee. Investigating any charges unless the employee is affected. Case right to meeting, request a meeting to be open, and in which case the request shall be granted. It's probably more matters of what you've discussed in public with affect adversely the reputation of a person other than a member of the body or agency itself unless such person requests an open meeting. Again,
So,
I mean, we've talked about this and it's, I fully think it's time to vet this out and find out what's going on.
okay, so I believe there has to be a motion, a second, then I have to poll the individual board members.
Yeah.
So you're making a motion.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
So,
Okay. All in favor? Okay,
fine.
opposed? Okay, all right, so,
So what do I do about the recording?
all right, so once I pull the board, then we can shut the recording off. Non-public? Yes or no, I'm pulling the board now.
Oh, I thought you just did that.
Well, I mean, I forget the procedure, honestly.
Okay, you're polling the board out, or you just took a vote, so. I suppose,
All right, well, I mean, I didn't know we were gonna have a non-public, so I didn't research it, just.
okay, you
Just to be
you
honest.
do have to poll each member separately, you're right, so I'll
Right,
vote in
so-
favor of it.
Okay. OJ?
No.
Go on, just for discussion.
Okay. Okay.
She's an alternate, so it doesn't,
You know, she's not seated, but that's
Right.
okay. All right, so yes, all right, so shut the recording off.
Okay,